What's going on, YouTube? It's been a hot minute, but I'm kind of back. This is Spars Gaming. We're trying to make content. It's just like, obviously, I just feel the game right now is a little bit of slope, obviously, because we're transitioning from set 19 to 20, so we're in a little bit of a limbo. All the fun activities, no major events are up right now, so obviously there's a little bit of downslide in the game right now, but we're just gonna do something a little fun. Just obviously trying to make it kind of serious, but at the same time, it's up to you to decide if you agree with my opinion or not on this video. So let's just get into it right now. Before we go into that, I just want to say thank you so much for excellent 2022. You guys helped me out to make. It was a good year for my first couple months. Let's see, 7-8 months since the start of the channel. 123 subscribers. Not bad. We still need more to get up there. Obviously, I won't pretend that I'm like the best content creator or like the best player, because I'm really not. I'm really mid player. My brother's the one that's a lot better. But anyways, we're not trying to be the best in the game. I'm just trying to make something fun for me, something fun for you guys, and make good content. And because I'm trying to get into video editing and graphic design, been working hard on that. So just a little bit on that. But yeah, I just want to thank you guys and wish you guys great 2023. It's just a small little update. Me and my brother just got into the One Piece CCG. We are gonna make content for that. We're just figuring out things out. Wait until there's some events we can go to and have fun and play. Hopefully top and win. We're still learning the game. It's still a little bit tricky and learning the matchups, but it's really fun. We enjoy it so much. Other than that, the game Dragon Ball is, like I mentioned, it's a little bit slow right now. But anyways, thank you guys again for the support. Hopefully 2023 is gonna be big for us, and in fact, yeah, just keep supporting us and we'll do our best to make new content as much as I can. Obviously, a little bit busy with life because of the holidays, but now we're slowing down on that, and we're gonna pump it up more content and hopefully talk about reveals and possibly talk about a little bit of the game. Just obviously we're gonna talk about very short, briefly right now over how the meta is, and talk about the game right now, the state of the game. So there's just a little bit of this and that. So yeah, we're talking about right now basically the state of the game right now. So I feel after 2 ban lists I have not made videos for, so we just talk about that. I don't 100% agree with all the changes that the game has gone through right now. I did obviously watch Nationals. I didn't make any content for that, obviously, because I didn't want to make content that's not going to be watched for anybody. And obviously Nationals hype and a lot of those activities people were looking out for. So I just didn't want to make something that I wasn't not gonna enjoy, and you guys were not gonna enjoy, especially like with that Nationals hype. So right now, my opinion over the ban lists are that they're needed for the game. I do wish that Bandai starts addressing other issues like time rules. I know they kind of did, but we just need a better time regulations. Really, like right now, it's just a little bit frustrating that seeing friends of mine complain and tell me that, oh, because of these stupid time rules I lost and couldn't do well in Nats or stuff like that. It's kind of frustrating for them, and I feel their pain. But I just wish like Bandai just addresses more heavily on that. And also, I feel like the game right now is very strange, I want to say. It's just a very weird state right now, especially because after the ban list we don't really know what's going to be good or not, and now we're in between of set 19 and 20, so there's a lot of hype for, actually there's a lot of hype for the Fighters Ambition set, that there's a lot of cards being bought out, people are prepping, Again, no secret of the evil Saiyan SCR being bought out, so we all know why, because of the reveals of the Black Kumber archetype. So that archetype is really good. I have not tested anything about it. I usually don't try to test online. I'd rather have the cards on my hands and then I can test out, so that way we can see what actually works or not. If obviously just to have the cards with me and have them in my possession, so that way I actually have them. I don't have to wait. So, but obviously in looking in what we're seeing, what it has been revealed, it's really good. I believe it's gonna be a meta relevant deck. Finally, after so long, Black gets something really meta relevant, not like obscure or niche or something like that. But obviously, talk about the dash pack supports. It's excellent, excellent. Obviously, the dash packs support multiple decks, and I feel like the best one that comes out of this is obviously Green Cooler, since Green has now got a huge buff because of the God Ceiling ban. I know people are saying, but why do we keep talking about God Ceiling? Why is these decks popping out because of God Ceiling's ban? Like, doesn't matter. There's a lot of counterplays. That is true. 100%. There's a lot of counterplays. Right now, they're still viable. But the thing is, look at what won Nationals. Multiple Nationals. And topped multiple Nationals. Crimson Warrior. Yes, it got nerfed. But the thing is, if they ever want to make a viable blue archetype and make a unison, you have to remember about God Ceiling. And God Ceiling was so free. All you need is just a unison that can pump a lot of markers early on, and then you're safe after that. Like, how safe you felt with God Ceiling is insane. I had a feeling that was one of the cards they either hit. I thought it was going to be limited, but a lot of things already run one, and it's a Saiyan, so it's searchable. So, but the thing is, we're talking about God Ceiling, is like, God Ceiling ban causes a lot of colors like green and black to buff up, since a lot of their boss monsters either don't have deflect, or even if like they're pretty strong, like, but you play them and then you get God Ceiling, you get screwed. So God Ceiling helps so much to address these decks and keep some key pieces in checks. That way, if they want to play them, oh, they get screwed because of God Ceiling. Now they're like a turn or free behind, and that's what sucks about God Ceiling. But now that God Ceiling is gone, a lot of decks that used to be good and cards that used to be bad because of God Ceiling, now they're better because now they can be actually played and you don't have to worry about too much. God Ceiling was the reason that Deflecting Barrier was so prevalent, to be honest. Like, that's the reason why they created a lot of cards. And a lot of Z-Battle cards, like, you can print later now without Deflect. Yes, Charismatic Villain is still a card, but green is still not there yet to be archetype or color to be feared. So, we just have to wait it out a little bit more. But yeah, so basically, or that's enough the state of the game. So I just feel like right now, it's a free-for-all right now, but I do believe Crimson Warrior, even do with the nerf, it's still pretty good. You still want to go down 4, because that makes your super combos live. A lot of your cards are live already by then if you go down 4. So they did the Soul Striker treatment on it, basically, taking away its alternative awakening, but that's alright, because like the deck already wanted to go down 5 to 4 life. The token negate, get yourself to 4, and then your super combos are live. After that, if you run like a split of Vegeta or Zeno, so it doesn't matter, your super combo is gonna be live. It's still pretty good. The only thing is that now you don't have the chance to tempo your plays properly. You no longer can curve the game to your favor because you want to stay high life total, control the pace, use your defensive tools. Now that you have to take your life, you have to go down to 4. You have to curve the game that way. So the opponent now can basically foreshadow that, or like telegraph that. That's the word I want to say. Telegraph your plays better now. So now they know what cards that you can have in your hand. And basically, with this nerf, the Beast Gohan SCR is a must of the deck. You either go a mid-rangey to aggro style, or you go straight out aggro. Control took a hit, so unfortunately. So yeah, so that's basically the talk. Obviously, Hayes deserved the ban. Sincheron is in a point right now that it is way too oppressive, and I think they still didn't address enough, since the Z Battle Core Vegeta is one of the key cards of the deck that makes you go into a huge tempo swing and huge aggressive turn that causes the deck to be so powerful. So with these hits, the meta will change, but we will adapt, obviously. And obviously, coming up with the dash packs, we're gonna talk about the decks that got improved and got better and buffed because of the dash packs and the ban list in the tier list right now. And obviously, set 20 is gonna come out soon, so obviously we don't know what's gonna come out. Obviously, we already saw Kumber is pretty good, so let's just wait on that. So let's just go into the video. And so I'm adding this small interlude to the tier list now because I really didn't like how the first part of the video ended, so just adding this also, not because of that, but also adding because I want to talk about and address a little bit the God Ceiling topic, because we're going to talk about it a lot in the video. If God Ceiling still existed, a lot of viable decks wouldn't be so powerful. A lot of green decks will still be like power level, it will be a peg down. But now that God Ceiling's gone, a lot of green decks can go up now, because now their boss monsters or mini boss monsters can thrive now. Example, in blue, At All Cost Vegeta, if people remember that card was pretty relevant back then, but God Ceiling prevented that card to be play down because it didn't have deflect. So the meaning right now, the reason why I'm doing this is because deflect is such a powerful keyword, but God Ceiling prevented Bandai to create cards that didn't have deflect. Every single card had to have deflect, and it didn't matter that what you played. If it didn't have deflect, it wasn't good. That's basically the basis of modern Dragon Ball. But now they don't have to worry about that small flaw in their card design. Now they can move ahead and create cards. Example, the new Kumber boss monster doesn't have deflect. Imagine that card still didn't have deflect and God Ceiling existed. Blue already has a better matchup against Black. Now Black has a decent to better match against Blue because a lot of their boss monsters don't have deflect, and they don't have to worry about that now. Yes, Charismatic Villain is a card. It's still a card, but the thing is, Charismatic Villain does not prevent your autos to go off. It just kills a card. God Ceiling even tapping 5 or pitching it for free. The card said instead of being played. The reason why Vegeta Resolve Renew got the errata was not because it was cheap and read counterplay. It's because the card said instead of being played. And that's another reason why God Ceiling got banned, because it says instead of being played. Any boss monster that didn't have deflect, it didn't matter. They just go back to your hand and their autos don't go into pending. That's the reason why God Ceiling was so powerful, and the impact of that card shaped the way Bandai addressed and the way they created cards. And now they effectively removed that equation and now can focus on better card design for the future. So just want to address that, and basically because we're going to be talking about it a lot in the video. So if any questions or regarding why I'm mentioning so much God Ceiling and its ban and the impact it has, is because of this. So thank you. Now we're going to get into the tier list. And here we are talking about the tier list. I know there's a lot of decks here. You're like, well, what the heck is all this? I did notice right now that I missed a card. It's not a leader. It's the SS4 Vegeta 6-drop. The reason why I wanted to put that card in here is because it represents all the ramp decks or decks that want to abuse that card. So that's the reason why. So that it depends. I don't want to talk about like set 20 too much because we don't have anything revealed, but the potential support, or if we get any ramp or any of that stuff that can make those type of decks that abuse this card great. So honestly, that will be in between 1.5 and 1. So it's not there, but just remember that, or I don't know. So I forgot to put it. So let's talk about dummy. I put needs more support, but let's just change that super quick. I don't know how to write. Apparently. Alright, there you go. I don't know how to write. Sorry. So tier 3. So let's talk about those tier 3s super quick. I'm gonna put them in rapid fashion right now. So we're talking about Bojack. I know you're like, what? Mechikabura, and what was the other one I wanted to put? I think that's about it, right? We could put SS4. So we're gonna put these three. The reason why is like, well, SS4 we can go to Rogue, to tier 3. Well, I think tier 3 because not a lot of people are using it. It can get support. It can get better later on in the future. So, but the potential is there. So that's why I put like originally had needs more support, because they just need more support to make them great. And I just want to say that this is not like saying that these are tier 3 bad decks or like tier 3 exactly. This is more like meta relevant. They're like more tier 3 in that sense, but they're still good. If you go up to against these decks can, like in the right hands and all that, they can be very good, and you can sweat it out and even lose to them, and you can potentially win games with these decks. And against these decks, you can have a rough time. But that doesn't mean that they're bad or they're terrible or they're actually tier 3 in actual tier 1, 2, 3. They're not really tier 3 decks. But in this tier, in these like meta relevant decks or archetypes, they're more like tier 3 in that section. But in actual tier 1, 2, and 3, they're actually tier 2. So I know it's a bit confusing, but it's just the way I see things. Mechikabura, Demon Realm Race, and whatever else they belong to in those traits are great and have so much support, and it's endless supports they can get also. So this is more like a Demon Realm, Demon Gods spot more than Mechikabura, but the deck is pretty good. Me and my brother always test this deck, see how it goes, and it's pretty good. It has good utilities. So, but honestly, compared to the other ones, it's there. It's all right. Oh, I forgot to add U7. U7 used to be tier 1. It dropped so much in this meta relevant tier list. And by the way, this is my opinion. And I know we talk about in depth of the ban list and all that, but we're gonna talk about it in the tier list as we go, with the decks that got hit and buffed and all that stuff. So U7 is in tier 3 because it got nerfed beyond ground. People were asking, oh, they should errata the leader. But honestly, all the hits with Yamcha limited, the utility cards in red that were hit, hit and nerfed. More nerfed like in the erratas with Vegeta Resolve Renewed, the limit on Yamcha, and Violent Rays. Like, those cards were so good in this deck. But unfortunately, this dropped the deck so much. And plus, the lack of support right now is hurting the deck a lot. I know I got a card in the anniversary, but honestly, it just needs more support. And Bojack is really good. And I'm not very familiar with like how it plays and all that stuff. Or I personally have not used it a lot. But I know my brother is a big fan of it, and a lot of my people I know like this deck, and a lot of people talk in the community about it, and has a lot of good cards, especially the new support and dash packs. Also, this is talking about the dash packs. So, and also I want to say and talk about like this tier list is more in between the where we are in this weird limbo we are right now, like in between 19 and 20. And the dash pack support, I don't want to involve too much set 20. It has some implications, but not a lot, since we don't know anything about what's in the contents of that set yet, only in Kumber. So the meta ramifications it has right now is not a lot, but we can feel it in the meta, in the market watches that people do, and how the Evil Kumber SCR and that from set 19 is being spiked, it's been bought out and all that stuff. So you can see a influence in the new set and potential influence it has in the meta right now, but it's not a lot. So we're gonna not talk about a lot about like influence in the set that set in this market, since we know nothing, and there's nothing out, only in Kumber. But there is a lot of influence that can happen in this current meta into the next one. So that's what we need to understand a little bit because of the dash pack support of the decks that we got support. So those are we have to like talk about. So that's what we just understand that this tier list is not really a meta defining tier list or something like set in stone. It can change, and also it's not really like the best one out there, I know, and it's more my point of view, how I see things in the game. So it's not something like factual information. It's more my opinion. Obviously, if you disagree, you can just leave in the comments why you disagree with my opinion. So yeah. So these are the tier 3, quote unquote, more tier 2, but let's just leave it how it is right now. I want to talk about Green Piccolo. Green Piccolo, we're gonna put it in tier 2. It could be either be tier 1.5 to tier 2 because honestly it has a lot of support and a lot of going for it. So if with the right pilot and the right build, it can go do great, especially the other aggro decks got nerfed in some way. So honestly it can be tier 1.5, but we're just gonna leave it in tier 2 because she just needs a little bit more support. The Kai, we'll leave it in like in Rogue because even if it got support in the dashback, it's really not enough to put the deck up there. It has immense support right now and can like, I don't know, I'm not very familiar with the deck to be honest, but what I've read about the cards and leader and all that stuff, it has like potential to be great. It just needs that. I think I don't know what's in the next set or if there's any more black reveals as of today. As of today and maybe more tomorrow, we don't know if they're getting it like an overrun card that can make this card, or TPs also can help out, or any potential promo card in the future. So there's potential in there. It's just gonna be in Rogue right now for now. We're gonna talk about the FTK. It's honestly, to my opinion, Rogue because it needs a good pilot and it's very RNG based. So honestly, and people were talking about, oh, it needs to be hit, but it's really like, it's fantastic. If you hit it off, you hit it off. But again, it's like Yu-Gi-Oh! FTKs. If you can get it off, then great. If not, then your whole strategy is just that, and you're gonna struggle a lot if you can't pull it off. So, and the math is there that to pull it off, like if you can, but really it's mostly RNG. If you don't see the right cards, you're just gonna be screwed. So honestly, I just rather have it in the Rogue section. Let's talk about Gohan Ace SH. Let's put in 1.5 for the potential it has. I know that the Sensu Bean hurt this deck a lot and its killing power, but it's there. If you just need the right strategy, you need right build. The pilot is also like very important. So it has like infinite potential, to be honest. If they ever release more support for superhero stuff, so there you go. Like it's just there. But honestly, if you have right pilot, right build, and right circumstances, this deck can be really good and pull off games that you wouldn't expect. So, and it also has a lot of killing power. You just have to test it out. Let's go 7Ku. Honestly, we're gonna put it in the Rogue category because the nerf of Beerus hurt this deck its draw power, so it dropped the peg really from tier 1.5 and tier. Honestly, it could have been tier 1, but just it's mostly Rogue. Not people wanted to use this deck to abuse the drawing power, and that now it's just people are forgetting about it. But just it's good. Like if you honestly want an aggressive deck and later on, or more support, we don't know what's in blue in the next set, so that's why the potential of blue decks right now is high because of that. Green Gotens is tier 2. Green decks get a buff, so let's just give them be generous to those green decks. And honestly, it's a good deck. I've piloted the original Gotenks leader and I loved it. The new one is pretty good and can do a lot of stuff. And I know a lot of people prefer the old one, but honestly, the starter deck one is pretty good. And you just need the right pilot also. And also, the other decks in the tier 1 section are just a lot better compared to this. And honestly, there's another green deck that is a lot better, to be honest. And it's just, the strategy you want to do is great. And it's very uninteractable. Compared to this, you have to depend on a lot of cards and fusions, and a lot of your cards, like, there's a lot of stopping power against this deck. So it's great. It's like it can pull off wins. You just need the right build again, and it has good cyclability. It's very consistent. The only thing is about its consistency is that it can brick a lot, so that's only problem. But once it pulls off its combos, it just cycles a lot, and you can see you can draw so much. But unfortunately, as much draw power it has, it can brick as much, so that's the only problem. That's also another issue I have with 7Ku, that can brick a lot. Let's see. The starter Goku, it's pretty good. I will honestly put it in tier 2 because another deck, we'll just talk about it also. It got Z leader, and we'll put it right up here. So these two we have to talk about together because they both basically do almost the same thing. They both, like example, they both have cycle off, they both have barrier cards, they both toolboxy, they both have a great kill power in the early game and in the late game. They both can play in the late game and the early game pretty well. They both like to control the field and control the opponent's pace pretty well. And I talked about cyclability. I believe this deck cycles a lot more because in its front side, it can basically look at top 10. And if you look at your top 10, you're basically looking, in 3 turns, you could be looking up to 30 cards. So basically, you're going to see most of your deck. But what makes this like Trunks Vegeta better is, one, it draws the cards, because even if you can look at your cards, you don't always can add them. This will get you all your resources and has a better killing potential and killing power, and you can abuse your that fact that you can draw immensely, draw your SCR potentially, because if you see your SCR who is top 10, you're not going to grab it, because you're not going to see, you're going to shuffle your deck. You'll potentially draw into it more, and you can see your deck faster that way. And the support it got unnecessarily with a Z leader is insane. It just bumps the deck to honestly tier 1. Let's talk about Pan. Pan is rogue, because if you're not Tim Palacios, you're gonna struggle a lot with this deck, because you just need a good brain, a good pilot, but it does draw a lot. It can cycles a lot. It has good support. It has a good card pool of cards in red, but fortunately red dropped a lot because losing its utilities. Its counterplay got hit, so the Unison build got hit. So like there's a lot of going for this leader, but fortunately the color itself dropped a lot. So I could do a tier list for colors later on if you guys like. I'm actually honestly interested in doing something like that. Ultimate Cell, we're gonna put it in 1.5 because honestly the potential and the support it can get later in the future, and it honestly draws a lot. It has control, it cycles immensely, it has crit, it's green, can destruction. It's just fantastic. The only thing is that aggro decks can do what this deck does but better, and it can cycle better, and it's more consistent compared to this, and it can break a little bit, and it's very, and plus the engine of the deck is huge, so there's not a lot of like toolboxy things you can do with it. So yeah, this deck is also 1.5. It got support. The GT trio got support. Honestly, if with the right build and all that, it can go to tier 1, but Black Smoke is a thing, and because already see the Z leader can give the unison barrier, but the problem is the first black smoke is not what hurts this deck. It's the second one, because you're gonna waste your resources. You're gonna waste a lot of things early on to kill your opponent, and then that black smoke at the end is gonna kill your unison. You're gonna run multiple unisons because of that, the main or side, but the card's support that it got is fantastic. It moves this deck a tier up. It was original to me. It was Rogue or tier 2, almost tier 3, but now it goes up a peg to tier 1.5, almost tier 1. But unfortunately, it has the same issue as Cell, that you have to have a massive engine. But there is a little bit more wiggle room in this deck compared to Cell. And also, Saiyans always have great support, and especially it's red. But red needs more utility cards to help it out, be more defensive. But unfortunately, Bandai, looks like the edict Bandai has with red is that they don't want it to be as aggressive and defensive. So, Agent of Destruction got a bump, so we're going to put a 1.5. Because it can honestly kill you pretty quick. And the support it got is pretty good. The Omega is insane. It can awaken faster now. So it has a lot going for it. Let's see. SS3, to me, it is right now Rogue. It's just the blue decks that we have right now are a lot better. And that early on lack of hand size is detrimental for the deck, to be honest. Dark Broly, I'll honestly put it tier 2 to Rogue, because Kumber is going to be better, and honestly, the lack of support for Dark Broly directly is hurting it, but as long as it keep printing out good Black Saiyans for the card pool, honestly, this leader can go up a tier if with the right build, the right pilot. Me and my brother have a huge love for this leader, so it's a little bit biased for me. I would actually put it on 1.5 for its infinite potential. But honestly, a lot of these have like future potential. But the problem is if we're gonna get it or not. But the Black Saiyans itself has been historically known to have good support and been hit numerous times. So the potential for Dark Broly to be a tier 1 to almost 1.5 is huge. So we just need more cards, obviously. Vegito, in my honest opinion, is tier 1 still. The reason why is, again, the potential for more better yellow Goku and Vegeta, the one drop Goku and Vegeta that Trunks Vegeta got, you can run it in this deck, and that honestly helps your count a lot better. So you don't have to run a lot of niche cards. Now you can just run 4 of him, 4 of that card, 4 of the negate Vegeta, and that's already a good size engine. That way you don't have to run weird cards or niche cards that just to have yellow. So now you have more yellow targets for your Almighty Resistance, and better targets for your Polymorphic Transformation, I think it's called. So yeah, honestly, it's just the more cards, more Goku Vegeta cards we get, the more higher this deck becomes. So let's see. A green cooler, we can put it I think 1.5. It had honestly got really good support. So to me, I've always been a fan of this deck and huge supporter of the deck. So honestly, it just goes to 1.5 in my opinion. The support is warranted, and the support is just fantastic. It really makes the deck a lot better. Gogeta GT stays at tier 1. It's just honestly, even if it lost Digging Deep and its defense, it draws a lot, it cycles a lot, it does a lot, it's aggro, and honestly, as long as Gogeta 8 is still in existence in this game, this deck is just going to be fantastic. It's just obviously not as defensive. The Boogeyman, it's tier 1. Even if it lost Haze, it's still a fantastic deck. It draws a lot, it cycles a lot, it's aggressive. I think now the deck is just going to pivot more aggressive route. It's just focusing all their aggression early game because it just draws a lot. The Vegeta Z Battle card, even if it's better, technically it's better in this deck. You can still use it in other red decks. But in Sin, it's just like, I think that's the reason this deck is just so powerful. And it's going to stay in tier 1. As if they don't address in the future, like really, if you take away the Vegeta Z Battle card, this deck is just like mid, really. But the Vegeta just like already in turn 2 is live. It just makes this deck just a powerhouse, and it's gonna keep being the boogeyman of the format. But honestly, now all the decks are catching up to Sin, and that's what the reason why this deck is not like higher. If there's another tier here, it honestly will be there if the Haze was still in the wasn't banned. So it stays like that. Android 16 is 1.5. If you're not Jared Lopez, if you're Jared Lopez, it's tier 1. There's not really a lot to talk about that. And then Gamma, I think, honestly speaking, Gamma's tier 1 because 1, it's accessible. 2, it's just another reason why Sin is also tier 1. It's because it's accessible and it's not very expensive. A lot of cards are not very dated. Like they're not really that old. You don't have to dig for them. You can just take a couple $100 and buy everything. The SCR Vegeta dropped in price, so that also like motivates people to like to buy the deck and start testing it out now for the new format. So honestly, that accessibility for the deck and also the Vegeta Z Battle card is not really that expensive. I think it was like $4. So honestly, that's what makes Sin Shenron a lot like not better, but the overrepresentation it has because it's just very budgety. So, and also that's what also makes it's really not that budget, but that's also another reason why it's like you don't need to shell out thousands of dollars for this deck. But the thing is, it's like it's very defensive. Your now main offensive line is no longer your main deck; it's more the Z deck because now you can ramp up enough Z energy and basically play out these amazing cards like Vera's, the Cell. So like, and the more blue Z battle cards we get, the more powerful this deck gets because the main deck is now more like a utility thing and more defensive to keep you alive, and then your Z deck is going to be your main offensive cards because a lot of them have like deflect and the Vera's have barrier, so a lot of cards can touch those cards in that sense. But yeah, so I feel like Gamma, and personally I've been testing a lot Gamma, and Gamma is honestly pretty amazing. It's just like it will get support. Like the more blue androids they make, the more this deck becomes more powerful. So, and then honestly and then obviously Crimson Warriors, I mentioned. My brain went somewhere else. Anyways, Crimson Warrior is honestly, in my opinion, 1.5. The reason why it's 1.5, it's because it's lost. It's like I want to say this word, like luxury. It lost the luxury to pivot the game to its favor. It lost the potential to stay in a high life total. Like if you've ever played U7 Goku, then you understand what I'm trying to say. It basically lost the ability to stay in a high life total, control the tempo. Basically, you control the game at your own pace. You play like very safe, and now you have to drop your life to 4 to awaken, and now you lost that ability to awaken a high life total. So you lost basically that luxury to stay safe in a high life total, awaken, and then your support combos are not gonna be live. But honestly, it doesn't matter because you just have so much cards and defensive tools and utility to keep yourself live and awaken at turn, and then awaken earlier, and then drop your life to 4 or take a couple hits. So now you don't have that luxury to control the game, to move the pace of the game to your favor all the time. Basically, the game was going like a river. The game with against Crimson was like going like a river. You're the tide controlling everything. Like if you're going on rapids or something, like like the tide controls, it moves you however it wants. So basically Crimson was doing the same thing. It's basically moving the pace. You're just trying to kill them, and you're like, what is going on? Like this deck is just like doing everything possible to keep itself alive, and her hand size stays the same, and that's basic. And then their life is still high. It's like, what is going on? So basically Crimson was doing that and keeping itself alive for so long, exhausting your resources and keeping its resources in a lot better than you, and that's what made Crimson so powerful. But losing that alternative awakening drop, and you're forcing yourself to go to 4 always. You're dropping your life to 4. Now you can't pivot your strategy into a control strategy. You have to now pivot your strategy to a mid-range, to an aggressive strategy, which is fine, but you wanted that control. And plus losing God Sealing also actually in general blue lost God Sealing, so not just this deck. So its defensive tool drops. So now you like the Tapion build is pretty good still, but now you don't have a unison that stays in a high marker count. Sorry. And now you'd rather not keep that Tapion. Now you just rather just play the Majin Buu unison. But the problem is that the green has a good card in the Gohan rare. The green Gohan rare can kill the baby unison super quick now. So you have to decide to either like pivot this different strategies, and honestly it just makes you like wonder, why should I just run this leader, this deck, if I have to like just pivot so differently and change the strategy so much, and the side deck is so immensely important now. So like, and that's the tier list. Sorry, it was like weird change there. I just didn't like the ending, how it turned out, so we're redoing a new one. So that's the tier list. Obviously if you don't agree with it, obviously everyone has an opinion. That's all to you. I appreciate it if you like and comment to see if you like mine or not, in my opinion, over the tier list I made. Obviously like and subscribe, and any support that we get through donations or through, and most importantly, likes and subscribes are always welcome. Again, thank you so much. 2023 is going to be a big year for us, and hopefully we get more and bigger events and closer to home. That's the dream, obviously. Again, like and subscribe, and thank you, and hope you see you guys in the next video.